Amar Sheth, the secretary at FADA, that's the Federation of Automobile Dealers Association, is joining us now on the show. I'm speaking with Abhishek Gaoshinde, Deputy Vice President Research at Mirai Asset, Sharekhan, who tracks the space very, very closely. Let's get a mood check first from Mr. Sheth. Thank you so much to both of you, first of all, for joining us here on NDTV Profit. The focus over here, Mr. Sheth, is are we going to see now enough electric vehicle category launches to increase adoption? Because adoption year on year and more people buying EVs year on year has increased, but the base is still small. It's not really made a massive headway. And the reason perhaps is pricing or enough options available. Do you see that changing now with the large number of launches we've seen in the last few days and more expected up till Jan end?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Though we are talking about percentages, the absolute number is still very small. But that also shows us that there is a lot of headroom still available. Like if we are talking about the two-wheeler space, even in the festive period, we've seen around 1.3 lakh units of EVs being sold. So if you compare that with the total number, which is close to around 25-30 lakh number, then that is as a percentage still only around 6%. So and that is high. But however, I see that changing because yes, adoption is happening. We've seen the withdrawal of subsidies that might have pulled back a temporary setback, but that would, because any price change takes a little time to get accepted. In developed markets also, we've seen that it happens sporadic growth and more and more numbers will suddenly spike, and I don't see this to be a too much of a worry, and I think this segment is certainly set to grow exponentially.
In terms of, let me talk about passenger vehicles for a second with you, Mr. Sheth. In terms of passenger vehicles, I suppose Tata Motors has been dominating the space for market share, and now you have an M&M launch, 2 products which will come in there in Jan. We're waiting to see what Maruti does. Hyundai also will be expanding. We'll have a EV Creta variant. Do you see this entire space being shaken up, and who is best placed in your view? Which brand is best placed in your view? Where is the most demand coming for?
So even in passenger vehicles, we're looking at around a 2-2.5% EV penetration currently, which translates to around 10,000 units. So it is not a large market as of now. But in passenger vehicles, at least we are seeing the reputed players, right? Unlike a two-wheeler space where we had a lot of new entrants into the market, and now the great names of the two-wheeler space actually coming with their products. So similarly, unlike that, in the passenger vehicles, we have had like you rightly mentioned, the Mahindras, the Tatas, all of them who have a lot of pedigree behind them. So the key factor in the four-wheeler space, I think, is when the differential between the EV and a regular combustion engine, the price parity or the difference in the premium that a person has to pay, if that is not too much, then we are seeing that change happen. So I think a Tata and a Mahindra have been able to bridge that difference. It's now no longer a large gap between what you would pay for a petrol or a diesel engine versus what you would pay for a EV. So that adoption would happen much quicker, I guess, due to this.
Abhishek, I want you to come in on this and then start with how you are viewing the recent developments and what are you liking. Let's start with passenger vehicles first. How would you rank these companies and who is looking most promising?
So keep aside this thing, the discussion on the EV side is that we are dividing into the 2 segments. One is the scooter and second is the passenger car segment, not the two-wheelers. So in the scooter segment, now what we are seeing is that the EV story is entering into the second phase. In the first phase, players have introduced their products and create awareness about the product. But now it is happening that some kind of a consolidation is started happening in the segment. So say, for example, the top 5 players were constituting almost 60% of the market in 2023. But now the situation is that almost 83-85% of the market is in the hand of the top 5 players, and most of them are appearing to be serious players. Say, for example, Bajaj, TVS, Ather, Ola, and Ampere are constituting the top 5 top five market share player currently. So now in the two-wheeler space, we have been liking this Hero MotoCorp because earlier it was expected to be a laggard in the EV space, but now it has been gathering the pace. And in coming periods, we also see multiple product launches in the EV segment from the Hero MotoCorp side, and it is expected that at some point of a time it will also get benefited by the uh, PLI scheme, and that would help it to reduce its current losses in the EV business. Second, on the passenger car segment, the thing is completely different. Currently, as Amar has said, that currently EV constitutes almost 2.5% of the passenger car segment. So it is at the early stage. There is large room for all the players to get accommodated. Whatever the market share loss that we are seeing in the case of Tata Motors and all these things, it is because earlier it was the only player which has been pushing for the EV space, but now the competitions are coming up. As long as the more players are coming up, more models are coming up, it will expand the EV space. And if we are talking about a double-digit kind of a penetration uh, from this EV space in by 2030, then definitely it will require more number of players and more number of models, which can expand this market on a pan-India basis. Currently, the EV story, especially in the passenger car segment, is in the pockets where the charger facilities and the availability of the product is there. But as number of players would come, so definitely when Mahindra and Mahindra has introduced these two products, in 2025 we will have a multiple product from the some other players also. So all this will expand the segment, and the story will be similar to like that of in the scooter segment that we've seen in the last 3-4 years. Same thing we will see in the passenger car segment in the next 3-4 years. And in terms of liking, we are currently considering the stage of the PV segment where PV cycle is somehow moderating. In that space, we are finding that the Mahindra and Mahindra is somehow outperforming the PV space in terms of the growth, backed by its new product launches and the available capacity. So in the PV space, we are liking Mahindra and Mahindra compared to the Maruti.
Okay, so Mahindra, top pick in passenger vehicles. I think you said Hero you like best in two-wheelers.
Two-wheeler.
What about Ola Electric and the kind of reversal that we've seen last few sessions? Do you see that sustaining?
So Ola is not in our coverage, so we can't talk much about that. But what we can highlight here is that even though it has got listed, it is still a startup company. So it will take its own time to come to reach the profitability levels. And even though if this unit is listed, it can't be compared with the performance of the experienced players, because the models of the both the companies have been completely different. Ola has its own distribution model, while other legacy players have this outsourced distribution model. So in that case, the working capital management, the cash flow, the EBITDA level, and the capex cycle, all these things are completely different. So we can't compare Ola with the existing listed players. But what we can infer from the Ola's listing is that it has helped in deriving the valuation for the EV players, and based on the performance of the Ola, whatever we have seen in since its listing, so it has been traded at 6x to almost 13x of its FY24 sales. And if we apply the similar multiple to the EV business of the existing players, so we can say that 5 to 10% of the value in the stock price of the legacy players is now coming from the EV business.
Okay, just one point from you, Mr. Seth, that I wanted to get a sense of. Inventory levels was a concern for the industry a month ago. Are you seeing that changing post festive season sales, etc., or are you still a little concerned? Is your association a little concerned with inventory levels, and what are the current inventory levels?
So prior to the festive period, we were looking at around a 75 day inventory period across the industry, which is very high. It is not something that we are comfortable with, and that is why FADA was making a lot of noise about it. The festive season has been really good. Has been better than expected, and I think around, if we compare the first day of Navratri to 15 days post Dhanteras, so it has been at 11.5% growth compared to last year, close to 42 lakh total vehicles on the road. and this is Vahan data, so they are registered with the end consumer. This has helped drop the inventory, but not drastically because the production capacities are installed, so they would keep
Right
producing.
now, what are the inventory levels right now,
It
Mr.
would be
Seth?
close to around 65 to 70 days.
So it's not changed much at all, from 75
It's
days to
around a
70
5
days.
to 10. Yeah, it's around a 5 to 10 day
And the
drop.
total outstanding vehicles, which was 7.5 lakhs the last time we spoke?
Yeah, so that would of course have come down a bit, but nothing drastic about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amar Jatin Seth there, and of course Abhishek Gaoshinde talking about the auto sector.